introduce myself to the discussion, due to a possible conflict.
Robert Kinzer.
And that's regarding Berkshire Concrete. And then Amanda and Cindy.
Here. Amanda's here.
Okay, and I'm gonna start with the same meeting that I've always done. We're at this meeting in person, making the meeting available via Zoom for the meetings of the public. Since we are meeting in person, we will not be responsible for any technical difficulties. So if you'd like to be sure of the participating, please attend. Again, it's, right now it's 5:12. And as far as, you just gotta read some things. When you come up to speak, we're gonna set 30 minutes for this particular topic. We have other things on the topic, the agenda that we need to address. If there are other people that wanna speak, we will continue this next one. At the next meeting. This is time when the board, the public may address the Board of Health of any items about particular item that we're talking about, Berkshire Concrete, complaints against Berkshire Concrete, and dust. And please identify yourself when you come up, your name, address, and if you represent a company or, again, I mentioned this, each person will get 3 minutes and no longer 30. Please make your comments concise and try not to repeat the statements made by others. Please address your comments to the board, the board's chair. Discussions and debates on any issues may not take place at this time. The chair or the designee may answer questions.
Okay.
I'm just be respectful of each other, please. And I think that's mostly it. Okay, thank you very much. So, with that, we'll start with open discussion from the public. And Ron, I believe that's gonna be you. And if somebody taking the time, Nancy, can you take the time, please? Because we have to just move it respectful to get everybody through this.
I know we have 30 minutes overall. Do you think you could do your presentation? I'm not gonna say 30 minutes. I know you put a lot of work into this and I wanna hear what you have to say.
Obviously, it's,
Each person has 3 minutes. Each person total of 30 minutes.
well, if there are people that would prefer to defer their 3 minutes, is that possible?
Yes.
If they could defer their 3 minutes to me, how does everybody feel about that?
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
I just don't wanna deny somebody a right to talk. We're gonna stay within the 30 minutes and I'm just gonna let you go ahead and start.
And we
If it
start
becomes
with
an
the,
issue, we'll deal with it as we go down the road.
Okay, I appreciate it.
But
All right.
please try to keep to the 3 minutes. I think it's respectful of
I know
everybody's
I'm
voice
going
here.
to keep the 3 minutes with this.
Well, let's
I'm
just,
being honest.
I understand. Why don't we just get started?
Okay, good. My name is Ron Griffin. I want to thank everybody here for having to go through this. And I think it's a testimony to how important this issue is to all of you folks. And it certainly is important to Lynn and I, and we've taken some time to present some things that I think are graphically speak volumes about the situation that everybody in this room either faces or may face. Okay? This is a Google map shot of what I believe our neighborhood. Okay? And what it depicts is, here's the lot, the sand lot in question. Okay? These are 300-foot circles. And they basically reach out into the community, and you could probably find, most of you could probably find your house on this map and have a really good idea as to how far you are from that site, which I think is important based on the information that Lynn and I have collected. Okay? And if you want to look at it, I can pass it around, and you guys can just look at it if you want. Okay? Just raise your hand if you want to look at it. All right? So Lynn and I have lived in Dalton for 30 years at different addresses. We moved to Florence Street 9 years ago, and we love it here. And have great neighbors. Everybody here is a neighbor. We experienced a situation in December, and I'd like you to maybe run those images if you could.
You said December?
This is
It's January.
January. Excuse me.
Right, okay,
January,
one second, just
January
one
9th,
second.
sorry.
Okay.
Time flies when you're old, okay? But these are images that I took in the yard and on my back porch. Okay, of a situation that existed then, and at this particular point may continue unless there are some remediation efforts taken by the contractor. So, you ready?
It's playing, Ron.
It is plain, Ron.
Okay, good. Where's the voice? Oh, there's no voice? Okay.
We said it wasn't.
What this is, see the brown snow on the top? That's the dust sand material that's coming from the site on what lot number is it, Hank?
105-16.
Okay, which is part of the permit that Patricia was supposed to have been issued, I believe been issued. Okay, so.
Do you want me to go to the next one?
Yes, please. So this is my back deck. And you can see there's literally small piles of sand on that back porch. And that's an area that Linda and I do maintenance on every single week. And I have 4 dogs, I got a great yard, they run around, they come in the house, and guess what they have on? Dust. And it comes into my house, all over the floors, and we deal with that every day. More so when the wind is whipping from the northwest, right, honey?
Yes,
Okay?
at 22 to 25 miles per hour.
So, and that was in January. And we continue to see, maybe on and off, not certainly this volume, but as an indication as to what we all could experience in heavy winds living adjacent to that mining operation. Now, a lot of people are living in parts of that section of town where you may be less inclined to see it. But if the contractor elects to continue his work and expand on that construction and that whole project, you're going to see it in your yards. You have to. Okay?
Ron, can you point on the map projected use of that land for
So
everybody?
this is the site that exists right now. And the lot number that they have for that site is what?
105-16.
10516 covers all the way
Go towards
No,
your
go
head.
the other way.
this way.
Go up
Yes.
towards your head. There you go.
This way. Okay? Not hard upside down. Okay? But this is what it's going
That's
to
the
impact.
plan.
This is what it's going to impact. Is all of these dimensional characteristics are going to change. And people are going to be experiencing the same thing that our neighborhood has. And we have people in the neighborhood with health problems now, and my wife will speak to that a little bit. We need, and I'm not suggesting that we want the contractor to shut down. That's not what we're looking for. If they can come up with a plan, a legitimate plan that eliminates this material from flying into our neighborhoods, okay, go for it. But that doesn't exist right now. And we know, as a result of the conversations that we've had, there is an ongoing effort to come up with basically an answer to that problem. But until then, they shouldn't be allowed to mine that operation. Because that dust, that sand, that silica compound, remember that, silica compound, look it up and you'll see exactly what the implications are from a health perspective and how it might affect the people in the neighborhood and their children. So I'm going to hand this over to my wife now, I'll let her expand on it.
He didn't follow the script.
I've been married for 40, 50.
You better just sit down, Ron.
Before you go ahead, right, look at this beautiful map that we had printed from Google Earth. Isn't it lovely? There's green, there's
Right.
trees with colored leaves. Guess guess when this was made, this wonderful sand mine? October 20th, 2024. Guess when supposedly Berkshire Concrete got their special permit? December 1st, 2024. Okay. So, silica, Ron mentioned, are small sand particles that can travel more than 2,400 feet. This is 2,100 feet, so 2,400 feet would be in the American Legion field. They can stay airborne for 12 days.
Oh, jeez.
I won't go into what silica does to your lungs because I have someone else that will talk about that. And, mention that, okay. Inconvenience, talking about that. The health. Both of us have constant coughs, runny noses and eyes, chronic fatigue. My health. June 2021, I was diagnosed with lung adenocarcinoma at Brigham and Women's. I had never smoked, and I grew up in a smoke-free house. September 2022, I had a right lung lobectomy at Brigham and Women's, and my lungs continue to be monitored by a CT scan every 6 months. I'm concerned about the air I'm breathing. On February 10th, I'm sorry, I have to read it fast. On February 10th, my doctor's team responded about my concerns about the sand pollution, and their quote was, "With living so close, we live 750 feet away, to the sand mining pit, it would be exposure to silica particles as sand is primarily composed of silica." Okay, then we have a timeline. Ooh, I'll wait to get through it. After experiencing sand in the air in September of 2024, Ron approached the town manager about this issue. That's when it was so thick in the air in September, we thought there was a fire in
It
the air.
honestly looked like smoke. It was so thick.
Ron went to the Board of Health on January 9th, 2025 to report the sand covering our property. You saw the videos. He approached people in the neighborhood about their experiences with the sand. Ron sent videos of January 9th to Agnes. We met with Agnes, Amy Stratford, the DEP Environmental Engineer Bureau of Air and Water, and Nicolina Freyeda, DEP Environmental Analyst Bureau of Air and Waste, at our house on January 15, 2015, to walk around the neighborhood. The DE agents saw the videos Ron made on January 9th and took a sample of the sand to be tested, which has not been done yet, because the DEP says they don't know what to test for. Isn't that why you test something? Ron had a telephone conversation with Mr. Leja of Berkshire Concrete at the suggestion of Agnes, and he had this conversation on January 27th. Mr. Leja said he's looking into the issue. On February 2nd, I contacted the Conservation Committee and had a conversation with Kim Weatherall about the wetlands. Here is lot 105-16, and right in it, and there's that new sand mine. This is the Walker Brook watershed, and it's right in the middle. There's the Walker Brook, there's a pond, and there's also two other wetland areas. In that area. Why they never got a permit, I don't know.
And many of you people that live in the neighborhood, you or your children probably ran through the woods and had your dogs.
You can't talk. February 10th. Ron talked with Dan Balboni. The DEP is concerned with the processing issues, not usually sand mines. Berkshire Concrete said they will have a plan in 3 to 4 weeks, such as put up a fence or a vegetation to prevent sand erosion. Mr. Balboni said DEP did not test the sand sample given to them on January 15th because they didn't know what to test for. February 10th, we talked to Yanko Tomasi, town planner, and he will talk to the appeals board and the zoning board about a special permit violation because the special permit dated December 2nd, 2024 does not name the sand mine on the lot, neither does Berkshire Concrete's application. They only gave a site map. And beyond that, they violated this special permit. Quote, materials shall be watered or otherwise treated to prevent dust from being carried beyond Berkshire Concrete property lines. Let's see, so much to talk about. February 10th was a good day. Talked with Ryan Duval, the building commissioner. He said violation of the special permit is an issue of the planning board. Mr. Duval said Berkshire Concrete's possible solutions are to reshape the piles and plant vegetation. February 10th, talked with Andy Perniak, chairman of the planning board, about special permit. He said to get in contact with the building commissioner. February 10th at 11:30, 3 men stopped in the truck. They said they were from Berkshire Concrete and they were waving around and looking for a solution to the problem. February 10th at 12, talked with the town manager about the special permit violation. Then the town manager emailed me at 1:30 saying that the building commissioner is investigating the special permit issue. February 11th, Mr. Duval emailed answer to Lynn's question. When was the sand mine on lot 105-16 off Pleasant Street? This is the new one. The old one, the processing, sand mine is over here. He responded, it appears that a clerical error has occurred. All the plans submitted to the board that were approved show the new digging area. This is being addressed. Any future planning board meetings will notify the abutters. So this special permit, which doesn't state this area, went through and was approved, and the abutters, and I think the abutters are people that live on off Prospect Street, and there's one person that lives up on the hill. Here's Prospect Street. They live up here. They were never notified. Okay, then I have questions. According to the Dalton bylaws, 350-61 earth removal is the intent of the following regulations and requirements to provide for the public safety, to control noise, air or water pollution, erosion, vibration and landslides, protecting neighboring residential properties from any adverse effects which may be caused by this use. Provisions as deemed necessary by the Conservation Committee shall be made for safe drainage of water and for the prevention of wind erosion carrying materials onto adjoining properties. Why isn't this being enforced by the Conservation Committee? Then we can't get a question, and we've asked it since January 9th from various people. When did Berkshire Concrete actually start the excavation of this? We know this map was done by Google Earth October 20th, 2024, and the special permit wasn't in effect until December 2nd, 2024. And now, it wasn't just started, I mean, it's been here. Okay, let's see.
Now you know why I married her.
In conclusion, as noted by the Commonwealth, environmental justice is based on the principle that all people have a right to be protected from the environmental hazards and to live in and enjoy a clean and healthy environment. This was taken from the Dalton Open Space and Recreation Plan of November 2021. We have that right.
Yes, that's right.
And I don't want to hear they're going to put up trees and a fence. I want something done now. And when the wind blows from the west-northwest and it's 20 to 25 miles per hour, we are covered with sand. And I live here.
That is so.
And I'm sure some people here are covered with it. And as they move this way, you people here are going to be covered with it. And it's not right. And I'm done. So we have another, excuse me one second. We have another, another 15 minutes. Does somebody else want to go next?
I can be very quick.
Oh, okay.
Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
I think at this point, we're gonna adhere to the 3-minute maximum.
I will be less than 3 minutes.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Amber Preventure, my husband and I are here. We live on 38 Devon Street Extension, so if we were axe throwing, I'd be kind of really right in the bullseye area. So You know, here, you did a great job. I just, you know, spoke with Mr. Leisha. He did confirm that, you know, the sand does contain silica. And I just had a pulmonary alcohology appointment on Friday because I have an underlying respiratory issue. And he is very concerned, and he shared with me that the silica particles are typically less than 10 micrometers in size. On a calm day, it can travel over 300 feet. That's not even a windy day. On a windy day, it can travel up to a mile, and as to Lynn's point, stay airborne for 12 days, maybe even longer. So you don't have to wait for the flumes of smoke to have those particles through the air. You can't see them. They're too small. The dust that is settling, that's, you know, the accumulation of all of that. And so, you know, my pulmonologist also shared with me that, you know, inhaling the silica can lead to things like respiratory infections. So even children, you know, with asthma can get respiratory infections, extra colds, lung cancer, chronic kidney disease. Doesn't even have to be the lungs. Chronic bronchitis, autoimmune diseases like scleroderma, rheumatoid arthritis, and lupus. He said how the silicon, the particles really impact when you inhale it. It attacks the macrophages in the lungs, deep in the alveoli. Those are your main protectors in your lungs, and the macrophages are part of your immune system. So when they're compromised, you can be, you know, susceptible. So whether you're a young child, whether you're older and you're immunosuppressed, or whether you have underlying pulmonary concerns, you know, like Lynn and I do, this is extremely frightening. I've lived in my house for 40 years. I've raised my children, my family there. I don't want to move. I love my neighbors. I shouldn't have to move. I should be able to live there and feel safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank you for listening to all of us. I want to thank everybody for coming, and thank you for everyone who we knocked down all the doors with Ron and Lynn, my husband and I. Thank you all for listening to us, and thank you all for coming. This is amazing. And
Just identify yourself.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm Lisa Pugh. My husband and I live at 140 Green Drive.
Thank you.
And we are abutters. We did not have any notification. We had no idea till we went on a hike a couple weeks ago, and we're shocked to see this chasm that was so close to our house, and we knew we were affecting our neighbors on, you know, on the streets now, down in Florence, and we have a lot of dust, and I was being naive, thinking, oh, it's just windy, it's very dry. I wasn't connecting that they were actually walking half the way digging. I want to thank you all, because I know that as our elected officials, we are coming to you with our concerns, and we are all in this together. It's not an us versus them. We are the town, you are our elected officials, and I know you all have our best interests at heart. And I know that you want the safety and help all of our residents. So that's why we're all here. The benefit to us having this, the Berkshire Concrete, there is no benefit to our town. Maybe there is something financial, but there's no real benefit. And we are all here, we are the members of this community, and we should be benefited from our community. We should be in our homes. We should be able to open up our windows. I'm not gonna be able to open up my windows now that I know what this is.
Yeah.
I can't sit on my deck. I'm not gonna grow a garden this year because I'm not gonna have carcinogens in my soil and then try to eat that. So it's a huge effect on all of our quality of life. And as Lynn said, in the bylaws, we have the bylaws to protect us. And so we need our elected officials to enforce those bylaws. One of the bylaws is 403-5 Section N. Any permit may be modified or revoked at any time by the department without rendering said department or the town of Dalton liable in any way. So we do have actually a simple solution. We just need to stop, because trees and screens and fences do not stop wind. That's not realistic. I wish it would be, because it would be great. We wouldn't have to be here, but it's unacceptable. That's not something that's going to help. We need this to stop, and we need to have dust mitigation begin in earnest. And we can't wait weeks. You know, you said they have several weeks that they're going to be coming up with a solution. Every day that there is not a solution, we have these carcinogens going into our yard. We can't get back our health. It's staying in the air. This needs to stop right now, as soon as possible. I don't see how, knowing what we know, this could ever even have been permitted in the first place. Knowing this was coming closer, knowing this was coming to the other side of the ponds, backing up to a neighborhood, how could anyone deem that okay? This is a neighborhood, there are human beings here. We need to be protected, we expect our elected officials to protect us. Please do that, please act in our best interest, and we appeal to you to have the same sense of urgency that we all do here today. Thank you very much.
I live on Sunnyside, and I live on Sunnyside.
But your name again is?
Diane Grossing. This was an issue that we had over, don't quote me on the time, because we had it 30 years ago. Our neighborhood was facing the same problem with the same company. And the town stopped it. They realized how bad it was impacting our neighborhood. And I'm shocked to see that they're being allowed to do it again to a different neighborhood. So I really hope that you guys think about what it's doing to the community and put a stop to it again, because the town stopped it years ago for the same reason.
Thank you.
Thanks.
There is a couple of things that were mentioned about the permit, and that is something that has to be directly with the planning board, which I think, Ron, if I'm correct, I think Yanko just emailed you. I don't know if you saw that email.
Yanko and I had conversations today. The response, there was no real response, which I didn't expect one, standing in his office. But I think that we have to address the issue with planning.
Right.
We will have to set up a meeting, and I think communication is important here from the standpoint of board-to-board information. You know, you've heard, and I hope you understand the concerns that these people have, and should have if they don't right now, but they will, that this is dealt with the planning board. And if you want more planning board information, she's got it. So let's deal with it, rather than say.
But I just want to say that when I spoke to Yanko, he wanted you to know that you should contact him if you want to get on the planning board agenda. And it's next Wednesday, the 19th at 7 p.m. But please contact him and follow up with him. And that's what I wanted to just show.
Tell them they need to have the meeting here.
Well, you
Not
can
in that
speak with him.
little
I'm not
room.
gonna, yes, please speak with him.
I just wanted to confirm, you told me that the zoning board, there's a violation for a complaint of the special permit. The planning board, there's a violation for the special permit. And the building commissioner is investigating a violation for the special permit. Is that accurate?
Well, they said that the special permit is okay because although that was not mentioned in the application or the permit, because Berkshire Concrete enclosed a map of all their property, they could do whatever they want.
I'm just trying to understand who has open violations, because I heard you use the term, there's an open violation.
Yeah, there is.
And
Because they're violating our air pollution.
I'm just trying to confirm it's those three boards that there's violations with.
Yes.
Okay, and those are, then the planning board is who issued the special permit.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I think they are in violation. I don't know
Well,
if the
yeah,
planning
number
board does.
Number 5 from the July 3rd, 2013 special permit conditions. Every so often there's been new conditions put onto the permit, the original permit, and the permit in 2013, number 5 says what you had read before: roadways and material piles shall be watered and otherwise treated to prevent dust from being carried beyond the Berkshire Concrete Corporation property lines. So right there is your violation.
So please, please follow up with Yanko.
Right,
And
we
get him
have.
on that, right,
Yeah,
and I
we've
know
done
you're
a lot
working
of
on that, and just
contact.
really, that whole piece with the special permit, and please follow up with that.
You understand why the first step we thought was here?
I understand that, and I think from talking to the legal counsel, we've been told that our ability is nuisance abatement work.
This isn't.
This is an
No,
exclusion.
it's quality of
It's a health risk.
No,
That's our power, right? So to do that, there's the establishment of a nexus to this facility, creating this situation. Proof that this is injurious to the public and the frequency. And I heard a lot of people tell me what this is. But when you issue one of these injunctions, whether it's done by you hiring a lawyer and going to court and doing it, which you have the ability to do, or the Board of Health doing, it has to stand up in court. So we have to be able to defend. And when I say this is silica, or this is a carcinogen, I can't just say it because you guys told me that. We have to be able to say, how do we prove that?
Exactly.
That's
Get
what the
it
Department
done.
of Environmental Protection.
It's easy.
Exactly.
That's where we want this to head in that direction, for that very reason. We're not looking to usurp the system.
No, I'm just trying to give you what we view our roadway is with this.
Yep.
I
So-
have a sample with me right now.
I
I
don't
can
really,
have it tested.
I don't have access to,
Oh, okay.
I can't do that. Whether or not we can, our first thought is DEP, but you told me they took a sample and they still haven't tested it.
Then the town officials should reach out and the DEP say, what are you doing since our citizens have expressed a concern? What are you doing?
What I got told right now that they're still currently, and this is what I spoke with Dan, and I've asked for the sample testing. And I got the answer that it's still under investigation, and, that's what I got told.
And the thing is, if they need more product, take a look at my back deck. I can give you all kinds of this stuff.
I think you even mentioned that to him. I think you mentioned that to him.
Agnes, when I spoke with Mr. Leisha, he did confirm that there is silica in the product.
And actually, what I do want to go right now into, is I want to bring up, Berkshire Concrete.
Is there time left in the 30?
Actually, no, it's 5:42, we gotta move along. If you want to speak at the next meeting.
actually 3 minutes left.
There's 3 minutes left?
Yes.
Well, last one.
So David Pugh, 140 Raymond Drive. My wife and I have lived on Raymond Drive for 20 years, and I met a number of people canvassing on Saturday. That you could just sense the outrage that it was bad. And a lot of people, we come and go to work, we live our lives, you don't really pay attention, but when you start wiping off dust on the table, what's going on? I truly believe, I've spent a lot of time in those pits for the last 20 years. I truly believe in the last year, they were extremely reckless. They took out an incredible amount of earth. If you look up the Trika's website, they have a tremendous amount of work. They're building the rec center at BC. My son went to BC. Beautiful. They have huge projects. They're making huge money. They want this product. It's, from what I understand, the silica in the sand, they didn't know it was there. They found out that it was there, and it's worth a lot. It makes their concrete extremely strong, and they thought, you know what, it's there? We're getting it. And they had buildings to build, and they just basically were reckless. And I have kids at school that are at times reckless. And you gotta kind of pick up the pieces. These are not kids. These are professional business people who are making decisions to do that, knowing it was gonna affect our lives the way it's been described. I talked to the person at the Zoning Board of Appeals, and he said very clearly, you can ask the building inspector in this town to put a cease and desist order on that current permit. That's all he's gonna do, or she. They can just say, you know what? Overstepping the boundaries, you're not following the rules of the permit, cease and desist until we can get our investigation done. So I think that is the first step. Stop. Okay? Just stop. Cease and desist. That's easy. The building inspector can do that. The Zoning Board of Appeals told me that they can do it. They have the right to do that. They did talk about the limited power of the different groups. I appreciate your listening to us. But I very much feel this was a very aggressive act with a very lack of planning. It's bad. And it's going to affect our health. I'm retiring in 5 years. I want to retire, live in Raymond Drive. I'm actually trying to convince my wife to maybe move to Europe. But she keeps saying, I want to live here. I want to grandkids come here. If this doesn't stop, I was blown away. There's 130 houses that my wife and I went to on Saturday. 130. I estimate the tax base there to be about $900,000 that we collectively pay in this town. And outside of health, our property values, I was this close to saying, you know what, maybe we shouldn't make a big deal out of this, because my property value is going to go down.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned inconvenience. That's a poor choice of words earlier this evening.
I didn't say inconvenient.
Yes, you
Yes,
did.
you did.
Okay? And that was a real poor choice of words because my wife's health is being inconvenienced. This young lady's health is being inconvenienced. This entire neighborhood's health is being inconvenienced. Do your part. Follow the steps. Let's make it stop tomorrow. Thank you.
And just so you know, as soon as we got to Ron, that night, I was on the phone with DEP and following through. I mean, like you say, I was happy that they actually came to your house on that same day.
As we read, the thing that makes us question why. You heard nothing. Nothing.
I can't.
And I've made a dozen phone calls to the same people or to others.
For 6 weeks.
There's absolutely no response.
This is
It
for
was-
6 weeks.
They stammer a little bit, and not provide any reason why they can't do the things that we think are necessary to determine whether or not we've got a real health problem. We know we have a health problem, right? You got people in the neighborhood that have health problems.
Could you raise your hand if you're experiencing respiratory issues?
Thank you.
And there's a lot of people in here who have children. Children. This room is only filled with adults. The children in our community are being compromised. We are giving them a questionable future as far as their health.
Thank you, Ron. And thank you, everybody, for speaking up. Because I believe we do have voices and they need to be heard. But we do need to move on with this, because I do want Berkshire Concrete to come up and actually give an update as to what they're doing.
Yeah, why don't you? Why don't they just stop
Hey, I have a quick question. Just, I know I'm interrupting, but if the DEP won't test it, what if we all just chip in a couple bucks so we can get this tested at an independent lab?
If you call your state representative, they can get it tested, they can push it along, Lee, right?
Can we use samples?
Well, I'll talk to you.
Yeah, have somebody contact Lynn or me. We've got a lot of material.
But I do want everybody to hear what Berkshire Concrete is doing. They were aware, they found out.
He does it, and then you don't have to kneel.
Excuse me, Lynn, and so on, what we're talking. I know they've been in contact with DEP, they've been in contact with, I know Brian Gero, the zoning board enforcement person has been in contact with you. And we, actually, Nancy and I went over there one day to see what's behind it. So, can you just give us an update, on where you are right now with the?
So we're trying to come up with some help as far as limiting the dust or at least alleviate.
Can't hear him.
So we're in the process of coming up with a plan on what we can do to help lower the dust and prevent the dust. We're operating within our permits, as far as the, yes, we are.
Can we just be respectful, like we didn't interrupt other people when they were talking, let them have their opportunity to talk.
The permit was approved in 2023, the permit was approved in 2024, and the permit has been approved for the past 50 years, as far as I'm aware. I've been up there for probably 6, and it's been approved every year. We just got the permit approved in November, and there was no speak of any kind of dust issues or any of that stuff, or no concerns back at that time. So we obviously will address it, and we'll do everything we can to help prevent it.
Do you have a time frame that you're working with this?
Yeah, so right now, everything's frozen, and touching it right now is probably the worst thing we can do. It's gonna stir up more dust right now with this recent snowfall.
Could you just introduce yourself, so sorry?
I'm Trevor Mask. I'm the associate manager of Berkshire Concrete.
Mark Isbinsky, I'm the EH&S manager.
So you're saying there is no dust?
We've got proof.
Everything is snow covered right now.
We've got proof. What's wrong with you people? We got proof.
We need to really be respectful of each other. So do you have a time frame of when you're gonna come up with this plan? Because they know, I think that's important.
Yeah, we're gonna come up with some ideas in the next couple of weeks, and we'll get that sent over to you, along with, we are from the DEP, we're working with the health, obviously.
And then, so you'll be sending us a copy, but you're sending it to DEP, and you're gonna be working with Brian Deval, who's the zoning board.
Yep.
And you're also gonna be working with the planning board, right? Because they're the ones that actually do the permit, and that has to be,
Yeah, I spoke with both of them
Okay.
over the past couple of days.
Because what you're saying, you're not digging right now.
Correct.
How long have you not been digging?
Careful.
Couple of weeks.
You were digging in early January to mid-January.
Yep.
And all the way back since the special permit you say was approved in November of 2024.
2023,
When was the most recent reapproval?
November.
Of 2024.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But the same area, the same area was there 2023.
Alright, so you're saying the only thing stopping you from digging now is the cold weather and the hardened ground?
Yes, and we're doing repairs on the plan, so we're actually working on something else right now.
So when the weather changes, you expect to start digging again?
Correct.
And do you expect these abatement solutions to be before that? That's what I think a lot of people are like to hear.
We're planning on working on
Before
that.
that.
Yeah. And then reclaiming some of the area that, obviously, that as we move along, we start reclaiming that area and get that done as well.
Did you also cut down trees that used to be around that area?
Yeah.
How many trees did you cut?
I brought that,
I don't know.
I actually brought that to their attention when we were driving around, right? I asked the question, that there were a lot of trees that were just cut and fell. Not removed for firewood, which is what somebody told me in your car. Not removed, they were just fell.
No trees that we cut down were not removed from there. Every tree that we cut down, we removed. If somebody else went up to the chainsaw and cut trees down, that wasn't us, that was somebody in the neighborhood. Because all the trees that we cut down for the graveling area that we did were removed.
For the graveling area,
Yes.
And
not
just-
up into the woods,
We
right?
didn't go to the woods to cut these trees down. The only trees we cut down is where we currently mine.
So to answer your question, where that hole is 5 acres, last year, about 13 months ago, there was some new digging. The new is at least 4 to 5 acres, and that whole area was forested because I would walk my dog through there. I spent the pandemic taking walks through there. No more trees. And some are in a big pile, but someone told me, again, maybe word of mouth, but they said when asked when the trees were being taken down, they said, oh, we're doing some disease control. So there's an element of not always telling the whole truth.
And then I'm trying to get to, when you have to do things like nuisance abatement orders, I want to make sure that it's not something that's gonna, we do it and then it fails because somebody goes to court and says they didn't do it right.
Sure.
So I hear a lot of, so-and-so told me this, or I heard that, and that can cause a lot of unrest and a lot of questions, and then that starts to become the truth in the narrative. And I really am trying to get at what really happened. I knew that some trees were cut down, and then I hear, well, one of our plans may be to plant more trees. So then I start to ask, why would you cut down trees if that was a way that maybe could have mitigated some of the dust?
So the
If your
reason why
plan
we cut
is
down-
to plant more trees.
The reason why we cut down trees is to get the gravel underneath the trees. That's part of being in the gravel pit. That's how gravel pits work. Cut down the trees, you scrape off the overburden, you take the gravel underneath, and then they reclaim those areas.
When we say reclaim, that means plant more trees, more.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure for the community, if they have any concerns, if they see something, who's the contact person at Berkshire? Is there, that would be you. And can you just tell them what your number is so that they have that?
This is my own personal cell phone number, it's also for companies, so please don't just keep all my phone up, 413-441-6782.
Do you live in Dalton? Question.
I do not.
You did.
I just want to make sure the community have that, because there may be something that at some point you may see something. We don't want to delay getting communicate. We want you to communicate with them. Like he mentioned, don't use it
Be respectful.
respectful.
I'm
Use it
respectful, we're respectful, please be respectful.
Can you repeat that?
413-441-6780.
Could I ask a question? What was your reaction to what you saw on Ron's deck and in the snow? What we just saw?
Yeah. Stuff, I don't know, it could have came from us, it could have came from traffic, it could have came from.
Guys,
It just snowed that night, and the gravel pit is completely covered in snow, and Ron wanted to check it back for snow. I get it, I get it, we're working on it, it's the best we can do.
Question for your EHS. What PPE do you folks wear while you're landing? Protective equipment. Respirators while you're landing? No. Or are you in self-controlled cabs? Are you in confined cabs while you're landing?
Some stuff, yeah.
Confined, controlled air, filtered air?
No, not all of it.
It must have been the 10 cars that drove by our house that day.
No, I'm saying, I know there's nothing there.
It's traffic.
I used to work for you guys back in the day. No disrespect at all. But you guys have access to the water trucks they have over at the plant, correct? The ones they use to tamp down the dust in the plant. So, just
We have a water truck.
yeah.
We have a water truck that we run on a regular basis.
Okay. So it's able to get that.
Yeah, during the summer and all that stuff, when we were operating, we run the water truck on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Multiple times a day. I mean, it's not.
Just, I'm familiar with
Yeah,
the treatments, you know, with
We
the
water all our roads and all of that on a regular basis.
That's the roadways.
That's right.
What about the piles and the aggregate falling off the streets? Is that water down?
I think it's been a major drought. This entire fall.
It's been a major drought, is that what you said?
Correct. Yeah.
But that's not an excuse for not.
Do you water down your piles in the aggregate coming off your streets? You just said roadways.
We do our roadways.
Yeah. What about the pipes?
No.
You don't water those down?
No, we do not.
They're open to the atmosphere.
That's correct.
Bingo.
Yeah.
You don't have to be
And that may
a
be
scientist
something
to
that we
connect the
look at.
dots here, do you?
That may be something in the future that we look at doing as part of our litigation.
Why weren't you doing that?
We've never had this issue before. This
I
is
beg
the
your
first
pardon?
time-
You've never had this issue?
before. This is the first time hearing of it. I heard about it 3 weeks ago.
You've been doing this for 30 years.
I have not. I've been doing it.
No, your boss has.
Yeah.
Okay, can we move on to the next person? Because I know, and then the last person, and then we gotta move on with the meeting. Go ahead.
Mine is very, very short. I have a lovely screen. I live across the street from Ron and Lynn. I have a lovely screen, 3-season room. Probably in June, late June, I'll be having a picnic. Ron and Lynn are gonna come over, and I would love to invite you to come to my screened-in, beautiful 3-season room to enjoy your food when it crunches when you bite it. Thank you.
Okay,
That wasn't a problem.
move this along. Does any of the board have any questions? I'm opening it up to the board now.
I think we have to push the house. No, that's really the priority.
I would agree, it's very difficult to make an order, and I get it, we're all saying it's this, but then other people are saying it's something else. We have to show the nexus, we have to show that it's imperious, and we have to show the frequency. Those are the 3 things, and I know everybody here feels like, well, I'm satisfied with that. But you have to satisfy it to a legal standard to issue these abatement orders. And knowing for certain what it is, I think is paramount.
Is that something that you will do then?
I would like to know how we can get it tested. I don't know enough about, like, do we have a budget that allows us to send out soil samples to be tested? But I also know that I can't just meet Ron.
And if you can come to the next Board of Health meeting to give an update,
So-
and hopefully by then we have more of a concrete plan. Okay, I think that's important.
So just one last thing, and I agree, misinformation is the last thing I want, but I am putting together an email group so that as news, he's done a tremendous amount of work with his wife, it's easy to email and just send out information, and we'll promise that the information we send is factual, sound, or hearsay, to the best of our ability. So I've got another sheet that's out there, and we can certainly find room on the back, but that's going to be our way of communicating with each other with important meetings that are coming up and kind of important information provided.
Again, thank you, everybody.
I think one quick thing, one thing that I would ask of all of us, most importantly, people who are really involved in the town. As volunteers, you guys don't get rich on this job, do you? You guys-
This is volunteers.
Yeah, it's
This Board of Health,
volunteers.
and I have two members on Zoom right now.
I want us to ensure that we do what we say we're gonna do. That's all.
I do want to say one thing, just from the state, I mean, so Agnes has been really, helpful in terms of communicating what needs to be done. Tom Hutchinson, your town administrator, obviously the Griffin, so from a state perspective and talking to Robert, you have the folks in the room right now. We are listening to you and we're gonna do all we can. So I'm gonna be talking to Mass DEP tomorrow, talking about samples and see what we can do to expedite this. So, I mean, you have the people in the room right now that wanna help facilitate this. So I'm gonna be talking to these folks and working with Berkshire Concrete, obviously. So the people in the room that need to be are here right now, and we'll make sure all the communication flows. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And we have to continue with this meeting. We have